Hello, my name is Ben. I am a Solidspace Sleepover competition winner. I've been staying here with my partner for a couple of days since Friday. It's now Sunday morning. And we've had a really nice time. It's a great house. Would happily stay a bit longer if that were the case. I'm an interior design student up in Cambridge where we live. My partner is a design lecturer also up in Cambridge. I entered the competition because I was interested in what Solidspace was doing in terms of design and also in terms of architecture, which I've also done some studies in at London Metropolitan University. One of the things that I really like about the solid space design is the abundance of natural light. So here in early February, where it's overcast outside and quite chilly, the natural light flooding into the house through there's just windows everywhere, which is great. Means that we haven't had to use the electric lights very often. There's also a very strong connection to the outside through lots of doors from the kitchen and dining area into the back garden, which is really nice, and I think it's really important that we're connected to those kind of spaces. So our internal home lives are very much connected to our external community lives as well, and the natural world and things like that. The walls are all white, the house is very light and airy, it feels very fresh, very clean. The lovely flow of spaces from sort of the front door throughout the entire house. So I think we've got about 5 floors here. The house is all split level, which to me is kind of genius. It allows for really great connections between the different levels and different spaces. So behind me over this way is the lounge room. And below that is sort of a kitchen diner, but as I said, they're all split levels, so everything is connected really nicely, and you can have lots of conversation and stuff like that throughout the house. It's really great design, very happy with it, and I'm sorry to be leaving. What I personally don't enjoy so much about the solid space design is the high number of light fittings around the house. I have, like lots of people, have particular ideas about what eco-living is. To me, I think it's just sort of responsible living as opposed to irresponsible. And I think lots of light switches and lots of lights is a little bit irresponsible, as opposed to kind of being aware and being a little bit conservative in our consumption. Yes, I would love to stay in a solid space house. I love the architecture of the building. I love the split levels. I think that it's a very contemporary approach to the way we live today. I'm really pleased that someone is actually taking the time to look at how we live today as opposed to how we lived 100 years ago. I think there's a lot to be learnt from the way we live and looking at the way things happen in the home, the relationships that are formed in the home and maintained in the home, the kinds of families that live in the home, which are very different to what might be considered traditional families, and the recreation time that we spend in our homes as well. In my home, for example, the television isn't really on very often at all, but the internet is. So I just think there's a lot to be learnt by the way we're living, and I'm really concerned that people are quite happy to live in kind of cookie cutter housing that is based on a design that's quite out of date now, and I think more of us need to be really speaking up for internal spaces like that in the Solidspace home, which is much more conducive, I think, to a lot more people. Solid space design to me is a new way of looking at the way we live. So as I said in other clips, that I don't know that the kind of Victorian model or the model from 100 years ago might be the best way to keep moving forward. I think Solidspace is a company that's really looking at the way we live and making adjustments to the way we live and the way we use our homes. The architectural model in this home is really, really lovely. The staircase is central to the whole house. There's abundance of natural light. There's a nice flow of spaces, of air, of light, all flowing around together. It makes it very comfortable. There's no confined, tight spaces or anything like that. And I think Solidspace has really tapped into the way we're living today and adapted their design to suit. And I commend their efforts. I think there should be more architectural practices that are looking at that kind of design as well. It's a much happier house, I think, than a lot of the other houses that I've lived in.